Hi, this is Shu with a review of the Nike PG6. The PG line has been a steady popular seller for their affordable price and sensible cushioning setting that seem to cater to a variety of people without specifically addressing the needs of specific select individuals or individuals with certain styles of plays and needs. So it was a more or less sort of like a universal shoe that appeals to a range of people. So the PG6 for size 9, it weighs about 382 grams, and it certainly feels lighter than that. It's super lightweight. It feels super lightweight, and when you put it on your feet, it feels even lighter, fluffier. First of all, if you want to have this shoe for performance wear, I think you can go true to size. If you're a wide footer, you can also go true to size. If you have a narrow foot, definitely go down half a size. One thing about the PG6 is that usually Nikes don't have this issue. Adidas has this crazy dead space, toe box dead space issue, and this one has a little bit of that. Compared to most Nike shoes, this has a bit more of a dead space on top of on top of your foot. So if you have a very high vertically fat foot, this is certainly a good shoe for you. As for those who actually like that firm hugging fit, this is something you might want to reconsider, because if you lace them up, this part would like scrunch up and you'll have even more dead space in the toe box area. As I mentioned, it's a pretty relaxing fit that seems to form to most people. But interestingly, it's not the pinky toe area that could pinch, but rather the toe area that curves a little bit, and those with big toes, big toes, might have a problem there. So make sure you try this shoe on and see what size fits you without hurting any part of your foot. So this is sort of like a mid-cut, but low mid-cut, somewhere in between, sort of like a Kobe 4 fit. So there's a lot of this shoe that reminds me of the Kobe 4s. The cushioning, the React cushioning, it's got very soft, good heel cushioning that doesn't sink, which feels like the Zoom Air and soft EVA foam that the Kobe 4s had. The difference is that the Kobe 4s had I would say the very early baby steps of lunar lawn development, where the lunar lawn was like a tiny strip on the forefoot, and depending on what lunar lawn, of what density you got, sometimes the lunar lawn would just wear off immediately after you wear them, or you won't feel it much, and you won't feel anything no matter how much longer you wear that. So it was sort of like a lucky draw when it comes to choosing the Kobe 4s. If you had a lot of Kobe 4s, you know what I mean. Sometimes they have a soft forefoot, sometimes they feel like there's nothing there. That was the problem with the early Lunar lawn. So the React is definitely a step up from Lunar. To compare this React cushioning to other React cushioning shoes would be the best of both worlds would be Kobe 360s. They had the removable midsole with a React with a little bit of a Lunar around it. And was super soft. The moment you take it out of the box and you wear it, it's soft to the touch, and you feel the cushioning working all around. But you feel like the heel is sinking a little bit too much. So it felt like there's no heel to toe drop, so that's very dangerous for your Achilles. And at the same time, as quickly as they form to the shape of your foot, mold to your foot, they compress and bottom out very quickly. Not as quickly as Lunar lawn, but just as quickly as Lunar lawn, because the React cushioning used in the Kobe 360s were very soft. The React used in the Hyperdunk 2017, I think, the only Hyperdunk where they had the full-length React, it was very firm. It was very firm, and it was as if the Strobel board and the insole were doing all the cushioning, while the React, a little bit firm they may be, was more of a shock absorption function. So this is a cross in between, the best of both worlds. It feels soft to the touch. It feels soft as soon as you wear them. You feel the React forming around the nooks and crannies of your foot, or rather the curves of your toes and your foot, and you feel the cushioning working in terms of shock absorption and the softness to the compression or pivot points or whatever hot zones you might have on the forefoot or the heel. It has a decent heel to toe drop that you can feel. And another great thing about the shoe is that the React is covering the shoe all around, not just on the heel, but you can see on the side, lateral, the medial side, and on the heel especially. There's a lot of React here, so you can see it, feel it working when you're stepping hard let's say you're braking hard or making that hard first step, you can feel the cushioning working all around. It's not a sinking feeling that kills your speed, but rather it works with you nicely. Yeah, even without the insole they've given here is sort of like a ortholite, like similar low-grade unofficial ortholite type material that they've used in the PG5s, but the PG5s had a lot lower density and a lot thicker, so it felt like there's a foamy sponge forming your foot, and it in tandem with the soft air strobel, it wasn't a great sensation. And this one, it's a lot denser, it's thinner, and it works perfectly with this React midsole. But the React midsole itself is so soft, even if you wear it without the insole, just a strobel bar in the midsole itself, it feels like decent React running shoes, or yeah, running shoes, because we never had a React basketball shoe that had this type of adequate, suitable cushioning, shock absorption, and stepping comfort. So the closest I can give you is the GT Run. The GT Run heel had a bit of a React foam, but it was a little bit too mushy. This is a little bit denser and just nice. And of course, the GT Run had a sinking React and a bouncy, relatively firmer and rigid double stack zoomer on the forefoot, so it was out of, it was not a balanced shoe. This one has a React with a little bit of a thickness here and a good heel-to-toe drop, so it feels like a smooth, nice ride at the same time with an adequate amount of React to do the shock absorption. The padding all around is fairly soft and nice, and this part is super soft. So I guess depends on what you like. You may like this, you may not like this. There's no discomfort or any pinching areas, but the heel cup actually starts sort of from here. Yeah, so the heel cup is slightly lower than expected. So some people might feel, depending on the shape of your heel, you might feel like the containment is not enough, depending on what kind of foot shape you have and what kind of shoe you prefer. But if you lace them up hard enough, I don't think there's a huge problem. But depending on the shape of your foot, you might feel like the heel cup is a little inadequate or a little bit insecure. Yeah, another thing is, you can tell this is not a huge difference in terms of the width on the heel and the forefoot. So the base is not super wide, and it's very rounded like the Kyrie's, so that you can be rocking and gliding and doing your moves and still getting that pivot points and traction surface area that makes contact with the floor. That's good, but at the same time, because it's so rounded and the base is not too wide, there's no prominent outrigger here, so you'll feel this rocking and cradling. So if you're someone who sprains your ankle easily, definitely might want to give this a second thought, because this is just very loosey-goosey. I would even dare compare this to LeBron 15 in terms of the insecurity. Well, not as bad as LeBron 15, but close. So compared to the previous PG models, this is a lot dangerous there in terms of that. The outsole pattern is, I think this is something fascinating. They have the radial, kind of like a thumbprint kind of pattern, which you've had it's a combination of what you've had in the PG5s or the Kobe 9s, and this little circular nodules that you've had in the PG4s. But this time they have multi-directional slashes instead of just little circular patterns there. I was a little bit worried that this might not work, but it seems to work pretty good. It doesn't seem to be as dust sensitive as a lot of the patterns out there. So this is a pretty impressive traction pattern. But just because they tried to have that PG logo there, this little part is relatively dust sensitive and relatively more slippery than the other patterns. So if you, depending on which area you contact the floor with, you might feel there's a little bit of a difference or a little bit of a sliding sensation. Yeah, because this part, traction is not great. This is not a great traction pattern. Why didn't you just cover the whole thing with these and do that little PG butterfly logo like somewhere there? That's unfortunate. So the price point, I think, is very impressive for a shoe that's got the best React cushioning I've seen in the Nike basketball shoe. Yeah, regardless of the price point, even though this is like slightly close to $100, and probably they'll go on discount and always be going on sales. This is a very impressive upgrade or evolution for Nike React cushioning for basketball shoes. And in terms of colorways, PG 4s and 5s, if you noticed them, because they're sort of like a lower price point, sort of like a budget model, so they would have people waiting for the discount and then getting them. But because they come out in so many different colorways, if you don't get the earlier colorways when they're out, you're not going to be able to get them. That's very highly likely the chance you won't be able to see them or get them again unless you get them from a reseller. So if you see the color, the earlier colors that you like, seize them. Yeah, don't think twice. Because later on, of course, the later colorways that come out, they might be on sale because most people would have had a couple of PG 6s at home already. But yeah, the colorways, if you like it, yeah, as they say in Troy, yeah, get them. What was it? Immortality. Get it. It's yours. Take it. It's yours. Yeah, that was the line.